Oh yeah, I was gonna say it doesn't say that we're live, but yeah, okay, now it says we're live. So now that we're live, we just wait for some people to come in, and so we can keep talking. I mean, you just don't have to talk personal.
You're doing a good job. Keep going.
Talking about nothing. Well, what I was good at, well,
it's like an episode of Seinfeld.
That's what I was gonna say.
It's an episode about nothing. Well, my OCD is getting the better half of me. Or the better part of me there, Franklin. So if I could get you to just center yourself, there you go. And I'm usually not OCD, so I don't know why that irks me.
Yeah, you're live on Facebook. I can see it. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay.
It's kind of cool, actually.
Well, I figured, not everyone's going to be able to do the YouTube thing. Not everyone will be able to get the audio. So I mean, but at the same time, it's like. On the East Coast here, it's like 9:30, right? So that might be late for most. And we only keep our show to an hour anyways, or under. So it's usually not that long.
It's hard to keep a podcast.
It is.
Like when you're in the groove and you're talking and you're having a good time. It's so hard to try and keep it under a certain time. I know when I do my show, it's like I'm always watching the timer and I'm like, oh man, are we going to be able to make it? And every time, yeah, it seems to work out and stuff. But it's just like, man, I could do the Joe Rogan thing and go on for like 3 hours.
I know.
But people have an attention span of a gnat when it comes on YouTube. It's like 6 minutes, I'm out. I look at the metrics. It's 6 minutes. That's it. That's all people have time for.
No, I hear you.
It's a shame, really, because like on our last show when we did, we did a lot of talking and stuff. Man, we really didn't get into the meat of the stuff until like a good hour into things. I remember that. Yeah. And if you're not sticking around, you're going to miss out on a lot of really cool stuff we were talking about. So,
well, and I just look at it in terms of, thank God there's the audio one where you can come for a little bit, go away and come back.
Well, all of them. I mean, that's the thing that people forget. They seem to think like I'm stuck here for 2 hours, like I'm in a movie theater. No, you're not.
No, you're not. No.
Pause it. Come back.
Yeah. No one's forcing you. I tell that to people all the time.
Just consume it in little bite-sized chunks. It's not the end of the world, guys.
I wonder what Joe Rogan's average watch time would be.
Oh, I love that podcast. I didn't want to stop, but I did it in chunks too. I couldn't devote 3.5 hours in one shot.
But the thing is with his podcast, like Trevor said, he's so into it. He's so involved where he doesn't set himself like, hey, an hour and we're out.
No.
It's him. It's very like, I want to get through everything. I want to get through the nitty gritty while I have like a really cool guest on.
Yeah, he knows like someone like Elon or any one of his guests, I'm sure, are busy, right? So he knows that if he gets him on, he's probably not going to get him on for another 6 months, if not a year. So yeah, take full advantage.
The thing with the Elon interviews, especially the last one that he did, was really good. The previous two were not as good. I mean, the problem is that, we're all in the same boat, right? We're all in the same forest. We're all watching Tesla stuff on a daily basis. We know what's going on. We see Elon and like, God, will somebody ask him a different question because we've heard this like 30,000 times.
Yeah.
So, and it's always the same way. I know if I ever got Elon on the show, I wouldn't be asking the same questions.
No.
It'd be very different set of questions. Not personal stuff. It would just be like inner workings of Tesla. And of course, Elon is, we can't talk about that or whatever the case may be, right? But I'd
rather have him say, hey, I can't talk about something than hear the same answer. Yeah. Answer slightly different than the last 15 billion times.
Yeah, at least ask it to see.
Yeah.
Like I listen to every interview that he does, right? But they're all the same at the end of the day because the questions are always the same. And it's kind of frustrating.
Well, you got to wonder if the interviewee or interviewer is restricted by his handler to say like, these questions are off base or off limit, and only. I mean, I don't know. Do you think Elon is like that?
You could probably expect that some of that stuff is probably like, yeah, don't ask these questions. Yeah. Although I'm sure if you took Elon off to the side and you would ask him some very directed questions,
he won't shut up. Yeah,
it's 50. Well, no, it'd be 50-50 whether he would answer it or not, because don't forget he has a fiduciary duty as against the SEC and stuff. He can't say certain things, but Elon, you can always tell he's like a little kid in a candy shop. If he could talk, he would. Because he loves talking about stuff, right?
A lot of things he can't help himself.
Yeah, he's an engineer. He doesn't care about the business side of stuff. He's just like, he's always thinking about, well, what do we do this, what do we do that?
Well, you can tell even when he's answering questions, he's answering the question, but his mind is racing. You can tell he's thinking about
elsewhere.
Yeah,
something else.
He's never looking at the interview. He's thinking off. He's like, like you could smell the smoke's coming out of his ears.
Yeah, you can tell he's like answering the question with part of his brain, and the other part of his brain's like thinking
Oh yeah.
something totally different where he's like, okay, I figured this out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I'm talking to you, and I've just figured out a solution to the the one cast mold or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Imagine. To put little speech bubbles
Got a
over
separate
over the
thread
video.
going on over here about castings. And...
We're all on single core. He's like multi-core.
Yep.
He's a quad core.
You know what? We usually take this time to just shoot the stuff and wait for people to come in and not talk about Tesla stuff. But you know what? We've been talking about Elon and Tesla stuff. So you know what? I would consider this already started. We're 5 minutes in, and welcome to the show, folks. Welcome to the Tesla Talks podcast. We're already in. We're already started. If you joined us, we were just casually chatting, which is what I like for this podcast. You just have a casual chat. Like I said from day one, when the very first podcast I did, I said, we're not experts here. Don't come here for official news or anything like that, or accurate journalism or anything like that. But we're here just casually talking about what we all have interest in, which is Tesla and Elon and SpaceX and all that kind of stuff. Everything that I guess revolves around Elon. So that still stays over a year later. The same thing applies. Like, we're not experts. We just chat, right? And while we were waiting for everyone to come in the chat on video, we've the three of us, my three buddies, my three Canadian buddies, we're all doing an all Canadian thing again this week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's like when I was in Clubhouse earlier tonight in a Canadian thing, and that's what we were doing. We're doing the whole Canadian stuff. Anyways, we have Franklin, and he's a semi-staple person here on the show. I said staple, not stable, but we have someone that we get every now and then. Here. Yeah, no, not staple, not that kind of stable. We have Trevor from Model 3 Owners Online. He's been on the show numerous times.
Can't get that straight, can you? Nobody can get that straight.
It says Model 3 Owners. I'm reading.
That's my Twitter handle. It's Tesla Owners Online.
Oh, that's right. I can never.
Formerly Model 3 Owners Club. Hey, you know what? I can't shake it. It's going to be with me forever.
You're absolutely right. And last time I got it wrong too. And I thought about it, and I said, you know what? I'm just going to read what he puts there, so I definitely won't get it wrong.
You can still type in Model 3 Owners Club, and it still goes to the website. So whatever.
Yes, Tesla Owners Online. Yes, that's it. Yes, but yeah, you know how it is. Trevor, welcome back to the show.
No problem. Thanks for having me on, guys. Hey, you know what? I listen to your podcast. I watch it, and that's I participate in the chat and stuff.
Yeah, and that's what Franklin and I said. We're like, Trevor brings so much wealth and knowledge to the knowledge to the chat and everything, and his fingers must get tired of typing and trying to keep up with the conversation before we move on to the next one. Let's just get him on the show. He can explain everything and we can get his take on things, because
just my take. I don't want to take over the podcast or anything, but I'm more than happy to give you my take on stuff.
At the end of the last episode last week, I go, Trevor wants to join. We have to get him on. As soon as we finish.
Yeah, no, because I apologize. I saw that you put in the chat after I scrolled back up near the end. I think you might have been gone by then. It was near the end of the show, if not the end of the show. And you'd said, oh, you should just get me on and I'll talk about it, or something to that effect. I'm like, oh yeah.
Well, there you go.
And I turned to Franklin, like, we got to get Trevor on.
I'm like 100%. I love Trevor.
Yeah.
Well, we love you too.
Who doesn't? Yes. Where's Nutmeg, by the way?
He is most likely cuddling with my wife in bed right now.
And
she
for
fell asleep
anyone
on the
that
couch and I
doesn't
sent
know
her to
who
bed,
Nutmeg is, it's Trevor's cat. Is that your spaceship behind you too?
Oh, this?
Yes.
That is. Here, let me go get it.
I didn't mean he can't hear us, but I didn't mean to have him get up and everything. But it did look.
You
like...
want him to grab his big rocket? Is that what it is?
Come on, Franklin. Come on, Franklin. We welcome all our Facebook fans.
Hold on, let me put my headphones on. Okay, no, so this is a. I don't know what scale it is. Don't ask.
You don't know what scale it is.
I don't know what scale it is, but it is a SpaceX Dragon Crew capsule. I took the front door off. Anyways, this is designed by a gentleman in the UK. His name is Andong, and his website is morethan3d.com. And he has fantastic models. Look at the heat shield on the bottom.
Oh my God. That's
and
all
the whole
3D
thing
printed?
comes apart. Oh yes, this is 3D printed.
Yes.
And it even has an articulated
cover.
And then the dock springs out like so. Of course, one of my astronauts just fell out of his seat.
Let me give you a full screen here.
So there's
It even has astronauts.
there's 4 of them here. I'm gonna actually take it. Sorry to take over the show here, but
No,
hold on here.
buddy, I asked you because it looked very interesting, and I remember
It is
remember
really cool.
seeing your other videos.
So I'm just going to close the top. Now the model's designed actually in such a way it's held together with magnets. So if I just pull the shield off,
Look at that.
and then
The
now you
detail.
can see the inside. So you have our astronauts on articulating seats.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you got 4 astronauts there with the screen, and I haven't put any stickers on the screen or anything like that. But the astronauts are in little articulating seats like so. And this part pulls off, that part pulls off. And then here in the back, you have the trunk. And you can see there's some magnets on there. And it's really highly detailed. And I didn't print the other part, but there's actually a hidden compartment that you can print that goes in here and twists on. And, you know, you can put your weed in it or something like that if you want.
That conversation went sideways quick.
It's an old Saturday thing.
How long did it
Anyways.
take you to print?
Oh, God. Don't even ask.
40 days and 40 nights.
This is probably on the order of 200 hours to do.
I was gonna say easily over 100, but yeah, that makes
Yeah. Well, I
200
also
is-
did this. I also did the big Starship as well. Have you seen
Yes.
that one?
Yeah, I saw
Yeah.
that one.
It's too big for me to
No,
bring
no,
out
don't-
here.
don't
But
bring
that one took a long time as well. So hopefully this thing doesn't fall down.
I
Anyway, so it gets held on with magnets, and then you've got and that goes on like that. There you go.
That's so cool.
I apologize for any of our audio listeners. You have to check out the video of what Trevor just showed us in the last minute. That is mind-boggling. That's amazing.
It's a beautiful piece.
And you know what? Like, who's the guy in Europe again? That
His name is Andong. I'll give you the link. Anyways, the website is morethan3d.com, and you can see all of his models there. He not only has this, but he's built 2 different sizes of the Starship. I built the big one,
yeah.
which
I was
is
just gonna say, your video
1.3
on
meters.
Was
Yeah.
insane. It was
That
so
one's an
good.
insane model.
Yeah.
And he also does a large, and I printed one, a Raptor engine, and it's got to be about 14 inches tall. Really detailed too. Anyways, he's got some nice stuff. Neat guy.
Wow.
Yeah, actually, these seated astronauts were something I contributed to the project because he originally had an astronaut was just standing up outside, and he says, "Oh, I can't figure out how to get him to sit." And I figured, well, maybe I can help out. So, anyways, I made a seated model. So those are my guys.
That's awesome. That's talent. See, this is what we need on the show. Next week, Franklin, your homework is you build a life-size rocket, planet, Mars. I don't care. You have something on
Well,
that looks like that.
I
Please,
don't
next
know what
week.
telling, but it's kind of disappointing that we don't have our own like.
You're kind of disappointing after Trevor shows that.
No, I was gonna say it's disappointing we don't have like our own space agency in Canada, right?
We have
So
an arm.
have
Actually,
a-
we do. We
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 do.
built the Canadarm.
We
Yeah,
do,
we
but
are.
it's not.
And we have an Avro Arrow. Or we had.
Not anymore.
It's not as prominent as what the U.S. is doing.
No,
or
of course
Russia or
not.
China.
But we do.
Oh, of course.
No, but
We're
we do
tiny
have one.
compared to them.
But I feel like we should put more into it. So here's my idea, Dax. You build a rocket big enough to get the
No, no.
attention of the U.S. government.
No, surprise me next week. Don't tell me now.
Next week, there you
Sup-
go.
Surprise me. Oh no, that's cool. And you know what? It's test related. I saw it. I knew what it was. I saw it in the corner in the background there, and I figured I'd ask you that.
Well, what you can't see is my Lego collection behind me and above me and upstairs, and that's my other thing. But 3D printing is kind of a hobby that I have right now.
That's awesome. You know what I saw today, and I don't know if it's new or if it's old. Somebody, speaking of Lego, and this is going off on a tangent, but we'll get back in a second. You'd like this, Trev, or anyone that's into Lego. It was the new Top Gun trailer done out in Lego, like 30 seconds of the
Oh,
trailer.
really?
Yeah, it was on a Imager. I'll send you the link when
Okay.
we're finished here. It
check
looked
that
really cool. They took obviously the soundtrack, and they put it to Lego, and just like a whole Lego movie. And I sent it to
Like, everything is awesome.
yeah. I sent it to a couple of friends. I forgot to send. I know you're such a Lego guy. I forgot to send it to you, Trev. But I'm thinking to myself, if they made the whole movie like this, or even the original Top Gun, like I'd pay to see that. It looked really cool.
I'll have to check
Franklin,
it out.
do you know what Lego is, Franklin?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just
Who doesn't?
Well, he's a kid compared to us, Trev.
Yeah,
so
but
I don't
you
know.
can buy Lego today.
I know my
Come
kids.
on.
I just didn't know if it skipped a few generations because it didn't Lego take like a hiatus and then it sort of did a comeback.
The early 2000s, they almost went out of business.
Yeah,
believe it or not, and they
So
came
Lego-
back strong.
Lego was big when I was growing up, but I was
Was
really into Mechanico X.
Hmm.
So it was basically like metal pieces with motors and stuff like that.
Oh.
Whereas more like you can build like actually working cars and stuff like that.
Yeah, when
Yeah.
I was a kid, there was always the Meccano stuff, but I never liked the Meccano stuff.
Yeah,
I was
that
like-
didn't translate well to my hardware career on pure software.
Well, you like
Anyways,
the Lego Mindstorm stuff, though. Anyways.
I never even heard of that.
Oh, yeah.
Mindstorms.
Yeah,
Progress.
it's actually really cool. But
Mhm.
yeah, different discussion for a different day.
Yes.
Yeah, that was
All right, let's
all
get back
on
to the
a
Tesla
little-
stuff. Come on.
Exactly.
We got to
Tesla stuff.
expand our discussion here, Dax.
Yes,
outside of
we're-
Lego to
to maybe Elon Musk and his tweet storm. It wasn't even, you know what? It wasn't even a tweet. We're going to get right into it, folks. We're going to tell you, we're going to talk about Elon and his tweets and what it led to this week. And it wasn't even, would you guys consider it a tweet storm or was it
No.
just a few random tweets, right?
No, it was more of an SI, you know what, storm, mainly because he was talking about FSD.
Yes, exactly. You mix Elon and FSD and you put it in a mix and you've got, you're right, an S storm. So this started from, let me, did somebody ask him? So I can't remember if somebody asked him, but this started back on March 5th. So not too long, today's the 8th. So it's 3 days ago. Elon came out and said, like I said, I don't recount if he, recall if he was replying to somebody or not. But anyways, here's the tweet. It says, if you want Tesla full self-driving beta downloaded to your car, let us know. So nonchalantly, right? Like it's just so casual. And he went on to say, doubling beta program size now with 8.2 and probably 10xing it the size with 8.3. Still be careful, but it's getting mature. So just that, what, 2-3 sentences?
Yeah.
I feel bad for service.
Yes, and we talked about that earlier today, and I do feel it had 123,000 likes from then till now, so in 3 days. It was retweeted over 1,300 times, and I learned this from listening to Ryan's podcast this weekend, Ride Lightning. This is where he got his numbers, and his numbers were as of Friday or Saturday, and they were pretty high. Where is it here? Oh, sorry, it was retweeted 6,700 times, but where was it? Where I had the number, but I've lost it here. How many?
About 8,000 replies, I think, at the time or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, sorry, I thought I had it here, the replies, but I guess I
And
don't.
this is typical of Elon, right? He says, if you want to beta self-testing, let us know. But yet it doesn't tell us how.
Exactly. Like he just leaves
then
it there. So
Just
that's
like,
what the replies
dangle the
were.
carrot, will you?
And then
Everyone started replying.
I put a joke, and I put like a little service, took a screenshot of my phone with the service thing with Elon's reply, and it said, "Hey, I'm just reaching out to let you know." And this tweet was gaining traction like crazy over the first like 2 minutes I had it up, and then someone direct messaged me like, "Please take it down. The server's going to get bombarded," thinking this is legit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Lots of people.
You can't.
Yeah,
joke
I
around
was
with that. Poor
100%
service.
joking. Like, service doesn't have nothing to do with the beta. Totally separate team.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people too messaging service and stuff, and that's why I had the tweet and I said, "Guys, don't go through service. That's not how it's done."
I know.
Did you do that, Franklin?
People
I
have
didn't
a
know.
hard enough job as it is.
I was joking, but people actually thought I was being
Yeah,
serious.
you can't joke with Tesla fanatics like that, Franklin. I didn't know you did. No, if I knew you did that, no, because you're right. Like the people that really needed service this weekend or this week coming up, you got to wonder if they got any appointments because service guys were bombarded with this kind of. I'm hesitant to call it nonsense. I don't know what else to call it. I mean,
So,
Well, this is part of the problem, right? Because you got Elon that says, "Let us know," but yet there's no outlet for letting them know, right?
Yeah.
He's not saying email, service, or reply to me, nothing. So everybody's like trying every freaking avenue to try and get his attention. So I told people, first of all, like, don't hit him up with service because that's not the appropriate measure. Just reply to Elon, give him your VIN number or something like that.
So-
and
or
of course,
just say count me in like you did.
service has nothing to do with So I'll tell you guys a little bit without, and some of you guys may know this, but Service has nothing to do with the beta. The beta has its own specific team that are sending out beta invites, and people who work at Tesla, even on the engineering side, don't all have access to the beta because the beta team still has to decide who gets it. So even within Tesla, even if you're an employee at Tesla working as an engineer, it doesn't mean you're instant access. You still have to go through the correct channels. And I was told that the beta team is like extremely overworked. I'm talking before Elon's tweet. They're overworked in terms of who they're sending it out to. And that goes well above and beyond Service. So the best way to explain it, Service is its own island in comparison to how the rest of Tesla works. And they function that way too in terms of not policies, but how they operate more or less. So Service is like totally disconnected from FSD to the point where even if you had FSD and you had to bring your car into Service, chances are they can't even do anything to your car because it has FSD. That's how far away from FSD they are.
So the whole FSD thing and anything having to do with software is all an extension of what Tesla internally calls the early access program. It's not EAP. I mean, they call it EAP. It's called Early Access Program. It's not Enhanced Autopilot. It's a separate thing altogether. And of course, that's why Andrej Karpathy, you probably have that tweet. Do you have that tweet they brought up?
I'm bringing it up right now. I just had it and you started talking, so I thought I'd hold off. But
Andrej is the head of Tesla's AI, who's responsible for all this FSD stuff. And he tweeted out, says, if you want access, email earlyaccess@tesla.com. That's the way to do it.
Yes,
and
that was the next day.
Their email process too within the they put out this and people started emailing them and they had automatic.
I had emailed I actually emailed Elon directly, but that's a story for another day.
You did
as well as early access. Yeah. And I emailed early access. I did get a response, but it was a canned response.
So
we all got that.
The canned response from early access though changed within 3 or 4 hours because the initial response was, "Hey, we're at max capacity and we're not accepting anybody." And then 3 hours later, the email that they're sending out was, "We're reviewing all cases," which they're probably receiving hundreds of thousands.
Yes, I think 5x that. Yes, like I just can't imagine the inundation in one area that can happen from one man's. I love Elon.
Well, that's
don't
40
get me wrong,
million.
but
That's 40 million followers. For you.
That's very irresponsible for him to do that.
Yeah, just tweet me. Let me know. I'll read your tweet.
Well, no, he didn't even say that. He said he said, "Let us know." Let us, who? Anyone in Tesla? Can you walk into a showroom and say, "Hey, I want to"? It's they're us.
Franklin, I emailed. So this is the email that I got back from Tesla. It says, "Thank you for emailing yada yada yada. We appreciate your participation feedback. All feature related feedback will be forwarded to the appropriate engineering team. If any additional information is needed, we'll reach out to you directly. If you'd like to opt out of the early access program, please reply, blah, blah, blah." So that's the canned response. Obviously, it's different from what you got, but maybe I just hit him up early. I don't know.
Yeah, so the first one basically at the bottom said, wait, where was the...
We all have it on our phones, do we not? We could easily read it.
Well, I mean, the way it's worded is like I'm already in the early access program, but I can assure you I'm not.
Well, so the first one said, "If you have any inquiries related to early access program member status, we will reach out to you. We're currently not accepting new members to the program." And then a few hours later, that changed to, "We are currently reviewing all inquiries into the full self-driving early access beta program." So it totally changed the wording within a few hours.
Yeah. Well, within a few hours. I mean, that Karpathy tweet we saw, that was the next morning or the next day, within the 24 hours. And then probably an hour later or maybe a couple hours later, Elon finally had to go back on and retweet to his own retweet or reply to his own tweet saying, I can't even say it with a straight face, "Due to high levels of demand for FSD beta," no kidding, adding, and you think he's correcting a problem? No, now he makes it even worse. Let me start off. So he says, "Due to a high levels of demand for FSD beta," adding, quote, download beta, close quote, button to service section of the car display in approximately 10 days. Like, okay, a download beta button? Like, so of course everyone got confused thinking, okay, it's going to be a button that I just press and it's going to download to my car.
Okay, hold on. There's a couple of things to this.
Very
you
confusing.
Do high demand. Like, he didn't know that there's high demand.
I know.
Duh.
That's what I mean. It's like he says it like shockingly.
It's like he's just
unexpectedly.
I feel like that's a huge disconnect that he like didn't foresee.
Due to be tweeting out and not thinking in advance about what the hell this was going to do, we're going to do this instead.
Yes.
And then the download beta button. Do you guys both like? I'll ask you both and guys in the comment. Do you think everyone's going to have this beta button on their car? Or do you think it's still going to be?
Of course not.
No, it's regional. Come on now.
Yeah.
No. I don't mean. I mean everyone in the U.S.
Well,
I think there's a couple things in play here. Obviously, the FSD Beta, the public ones that we've seen, are in various geographical areas around the U.S., right? They're not absolutely everywhere. Keep in mind, what you see on YouTube and on Twitter as far as what people are showing in their cars of FSD Beta, those people have been granted specific permission to show it publicly. There are many, many, many more people that have FSD Beta that are in the early access program that are not permitted to show their stuff. Is that just California? Is it all over the US? I couldn't tell you. I don't really know. So what they're going to do, I mean, Elon's tweet basically says availability varies by region. And of course, there's regulatory approval. So is he talking about US only? Is he talking about Canada? Don't know. We do have a tweet, right? You do have a tweet about our friend... where is it? Anyways, he did ask about. Okay, he did ask about
James Locke.
Oh, yeah. James. Yeah, James.
I meant more along the
apologies,
lines
James.
of,
I couldn't remember your name.
Will it be just in, like I'm saying across the U.S.? Do you think everyone who has FSD in the U.S. is going to have it pop up and be like, "Hey, keep in mind one thing," and I don't know if I've ever shared this anywhere. I have.
You're going to give us a secret?
Sure. I've seen very good detailed information that Tesla's actively working on multiple tiered levels of the beta, where they want to do a scaled back version of the beta, and I don't know what that entails. I just know that that was documented and it's in the works, or they thought about it at some point in time.
I could see that. Yeah, I could see that. I would have no issue with that.
I have anecdotal evidence of that, but that doesn't count for anything. So
yeah, no, I've seen documented information about it, but they didn't go into much detail about how the tiering system will actually work, other than it's, hey, this is something we should look at.
Now, as far as what Elon's saying is, due to high levels of FSD Beta, going to add a download button. I don't think that's going to be widespread. If you're going to be able to use the FSD Beta, unless they count this as a trial, it's going to be for the people who've paid for FSD Beta, or for FSD, right? Because the last thing you want to do is give it to a guy who has EAP, never paid for it.
Yes, and you replied to somebody in my Facebook group that asked that same question today or yesterday.
That's just my take, because that makes the most sense for me. Why would you tease somebody? I mean, it's not like done an FSD trial before, an enhanced autopilot trial. They have done that in the past. So anyways, it can go both ways. But my personal opinion is that if you're going to get the FSD Beta, you have had to have paid for at least FSD at some point during the ownership of that vehicle. Yeah,
and they're doing it right now. You're talking about that FSD trial. They're doing it, all the people at the end of last year, from like Boxing Day on. Didn't Elon announce that anyone who gets it within the last few days is going to get 3 free months of FSD? My buddy in Niagara Falls, he bought an SR just I think on New Year's Eve, and he's got FSD for 3 months. It expires April 1st. So
I think it's also important to mention that FSD doesn't mean the same thing to different people. FSD is what we're seeing. Like right now, the FSD, if you buy it, you're not getting what we call navigate on city streets. What you're getting is navigate on autopilot on the highways, summon the parking, that kind of stuff, auto lane change. That's all you're getting. This is the FSD Beta, on the other hand, is the navigate on autopilot on city streets. That's a different thing altogether. And that is the ultimate goal of FSD as we know it today. So just make sure that you understand that you got an FSD trial. Doesn't mean you get an FSD Beta, because that was, it's not part of the deal.
I'm glad you clarified that, Trev, because you know what? Is it just me, or has Tesla really dropped the ball on explaining this properly and made this very convoluted? Yeah, we understand because we're inundated voluntarily by this every day, and this is what we do as a hobby. But for the average person, not even the average, I was in Clubhouse a couple days ago, and somebody was in there and said, and we had to, or other people had to explain to him that FSD doesn't mean the same thing as everyone else has. He was like, really? So people are paying $10,000 and it's a promise to get this later? And we're like, yeah. He's like, I never knew that. Like he had a Tesla and he just had regular autopilot. He didn't pay for FSD, but he just assumed if he had paid the 10,000 or 10,600 here in Canada, that he'd be getting, or that person would be getting everything that he's been seeing the beta testers on YouTube. And he didn't. He was like floored when he found out.
It's all over the map right now. Matter of fact, I just gave you a link to a post that I did on my forum. Not to hijack anything, but the way I see FSD is a little different. It's too confusing. So the nutshell of my post is basically what I think. First of all, them choosing the autopilot name was brilliant on their part because everybody and their brother is trying to get in on the autopilot name, right? Some people call it Pro Pilot and this pilot and that pilot, whatever. So for marketing purposes, that was excellent on their part. But basically, I think the name is confusing for a lot of people, just as you said. And I really think that Tesla's autopilot should be sold into basically 3 tiers. So the first tier is basic autopilot as it is now. It's included with all the cars. You get it as part of the car. Mm-hmm. The second tier should be the return of an enhanced autopilot. And that adds all of the extra non-full self-driving FSD stuff that they're currently beta testing. So give us the advanced or enhanced summon, give us the auto park and all those fun stuff. And then, and only when FSD is ready, then sell a third tier. And that's the extra add-on for FSD. I think that's more fair. It's less confusing. And it's more affordable. The way that they've got it structured right now, where it's only 2 tiers, is just it's nutty.
Yeah,
that's my personal opinion.
No, I totally agree with you, Trevor. I don't know why they went away or they dropped it. I mean, I know why, but I don't agree that they should have dropped the EAP. Like, I mean, the enhanced was great, and it bridged the gap for people that just didn't want autopilot, wanted more than that, but they didn't, like you said, they didn't want to go the whole shebang and get the full FSD.
For those of you who might be new to Tesla used to sell autopilot as 2 tiers, right? Enhanced autopilot and FSD. Okay, so enhanced autopilot basically had everything that we're enjoying today, minus navigate on autopilot because that came later, right? Maybe some small changes. And then FSD was sold as a promise. Right? There was no progress on it. You couldn't use it. There was no beta. There was no nothing. And then in March of 2018, they flipped it around. So then they started, they flipped not only the feature set around, but they changed the pricing around. So now enhanced autopilot became basically basic autopilot. So the auto steer and the traffic aware cruise control were now included with the cars. And then they sold FSD as a separate package, which was still including the promise, plus all of the stuff that used to be part of enhanced autopilot. And they broke the pricing down. Anyways, they split it up. So logistically, that made more sense. But again, they should have had it as 3 tiers, right? So you get your basic autopilot included with the car. So you got your traffic aware cruise control. You get your lane keeping, not necessarily the auto steer or the lane changing. Yeah, you can put that into EAP. So EAP, you give your smart summon, your auto park, all the little fun stuff with that. And then again, and only, in my personal opinion, unless Tesla's trying to do some self-financing on this thing, then sell the FSD as a separate portion. So you got your basic autopilot, it's included with the car. Maybe you sell EAP for $5,000 or $6,000. And then your FSD is the last $3,000 or something. I don't know, whatever the numbers might work out. But I think that would reduce a lot of confusion, and I think it would be a little more palatable to people in the sense that because you get a certain portion of people that want all of the features of enhanced autopilot or FSD, but some people want a la carte. Like, I'm never going to use enhanced summon. Maybe I don't need that. Okay, fine. Maybe you don't have to go quite a la carte as that, but maybe just breaking it up into 3 tiers like that, I think makes more sense. But anyways, Tesla's going to be Tesla. They're not going to listen to me, but
Dax and I were talking too today about the subscription price, because as it stands now, the subscription price has to be $200 at least.
At least.
Yeah. And most people don't, like, I still see polls on Twitter and people commenting on different social platforms saying, oh, $100 or
That's
less
not
than
happening.
100. It's not
Buddy,
happening.
somebody came in a clubhouse a couple days ago and said, yeah, it's going to be like $25 or $50, right? And
No.
buddy, I felt bad for him because he was
Well, the problem with that
disappointed.
is that the problem is that they're setting themselves up for disappointment.
Yeah.
So if you err on the side of caution and make it higher than you really expect it to be, then you're delayed. You're delayed when the price is a little lower. But no, I don't. Yeah, $100 a month. That's just not happening unless you have to pay for it in perpetuity, whether you own a Tesla or not. It's the only way they're going to get their $10,000 pound of flesh out of you.
The other thing too, well, that's just it, right? Because it has to make financial sense for them. They're a business at the end of the day.
Well, Elon has said numerous times.
Yep.
And I didn't mean to cut you off, but this is what you were going to say, right?
Yep. Go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry. Elon says numerous times, he's warned us. Like, I mean, without him coming out and saying, shut up, guys, it's going to be this price. Like, he's come out and said numerous times that at the end of the day, it's going to be cheaper to buy it outright than it is to subscribe to it. So what does that tell you guys? That tells you it's not going to be cheap.
So
it's not, he's putting the writing on the wall.
It's very simple math, right? You take 8 years divided by your 10,000, your 10,000 divided by 8 years, and it works out to 104. So right off the bat, it has to work out to more than $104 on 8 years of car ownership. But that's assuming you're subscribing for 8 years. So it still has to be higher because Tesla's not going to do it at the break-even point because they want to reward they want to make it more advantageous for the people that are buying it outright from the beginning.
Yeah.
Right?
You said that many times, like economics favor the early adopters at this point.
Yep. So you're looking at least $200 a month. That's my guess. And if you're Canadian, you're looking closer to $300.
Exactly. And like I've been saying to some people too, like, and I'm very curious. I can't see them going any other way, but I'm very curious how they're going to do it. Is they're not going to, like, I've in some of my groups, I've heard people say, "Oh, I can't wait for subscription because when I go on a road trip in the summer, I'm going to get it from June and July, and that's it, and then I'll just
That's
drop
not the way
it."
it works.
No, they're not going to let you get it for 2 months. It's not like a movie, a blockbuster that you rent and give back. It's going to be.
I see. Yeah. Yes, it's Nutmeg. Yes, he's back. The way I see it, the FSD subscription would be a minimum of 3 years. Like take a lease, for example. If you're going to get it, your lease is going to be minimum, on average 3 years, right? Maybe you finance a car or something like that. Maybe it's structured in such a way that it's designed for the longevity of how the car is done. So they could have it in different tiers. I mean, they could have it as a fixed price for a guaranteed amount of this amount, or maybe it could be prorated in such a way that how long of your financing your lease is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But
so you
don't
can't
fool
be
yourself.
like, man, I'm tired tonight. Let me enable it. All right, I only need it for 24 hours.
Yeah, no, that's not going to happen, folks. I mean, they got to get a. That's the thing is that right now. Okay, so what's the cost of FSD? It's 10,000 US or 10,000 Canadian? I keep forgetting.
10,000 US.
It's almost the same right now.
It's going to be about
right.
15,000 Canadian.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's a discussion for another day as far as the prices discrepancy with the US. But anyways, so $10,000. Okay, so you got to do the math. And I don't have my calculator in front of me, but we're not talking 12 months here, folks. This is several years worth of, assuming that Tesla wants the same pound of flesh out of you that would they get up front over a subscription, right? So if you break it down like that, that's the way you have to kind of look at it.
Yeah,
I agree. You know what?
I did do like a quick calculator that calculates all that, and every way you calculate it works.
Is it 5 years?
Well, if you pull it up, you can actually see. You can put in whatever you want. So if you put 5 years. Times 10,000, it's 166 per month, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's very quick to calculate, and it's not rocket science.
Hold on, I'm getting it. There it is, right there.
Yeah. So if you change the top number to 6 or something, so it actually starts
6 years. Everyone watching at home or listening at home and aren't watching it. So 6 years of ownership at FSD being 10 grand, you're looking at 139 per month.
Yeah.
If it's 5 years, you're looking at 166 and a half.
But that's the break-even point. That doesn't account for
making money,
losing out. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Because he said it's going to be cheaper to buy it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you know what though, Trevor? I think you or Franklin said something about if someone is tired and they don't want drive home and they want it to drive home for them. Yeah, you know what? I'd say to Tesla, yeah, rent it to them for 24 hours. Sure, $1,000. $1,000 for a 24-hour span. No commitment.
Okay, $1,000 is kind of unrealistic. But like, if they had like $100 weekend or something, like 3-day, like I don't think there's going to be less than.
Oh, you can bet there'll be trial periods for it.
Periods, but I don't think
nothing
there's
wrong
going to
with
be like
that.
3-day weekend package.
There won't be any weekend getaways or anything. But no, there will be trials.
There you go.
And the trials will be brilliant. Think of it. If they do a trial and you use it for a week or a few days and you get hooked on it, that's like they got you hook, line, and sinker. They're smart to do that. And it's no cost to them, right?
Well, exactly. This is software as a service model. And this is where Tesla's certainly moving. I mean, it doesn't take very far to get into the Tesla app and click on, upgrades to see, the beginnings or the beginnings of software as a service as far as upgrades in the car, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where you're going to find FSD, whether you buy it or not. That's where it's going to end up in your car. The question is that what's the commitment? And that's the big, elephant in the room at this point. We really don't know what they're going to charge for this thing. What I would like to see, though, as an owner of potentially 2 to 3 Teslas, is a floating license, right? Because if I buy FSD, I wouldn't want to buy FSD for every car that I own. I would like to see maybe a single license that's used, that's locked to a couple of VINs or something like that. It's a floating license of sorts, because
like software.
Yeah, exactly. So that I get in this car for this day and I'm the primary owner and it's tied to my driver profile. So I select my driver profile.
Smart.
Right. And then I get to use FSD drive. My wife gets in the car and maybe it's tied to her driver profile. She didn't pay for FSD. She doesn't get it. I don't know. I mean, I'm just kind of spitballing at this point.
Yeah, you're right, buddy, because my wife would never use it.
Question to that, though, Trevor. What's to prevent you from just buying another car before you sell your old one? Adding the VIN part of your list, and it's more or less like transferring, which they really said they don't want to do.
Well, again, like I said, there's machinations to this whole thing, but I don't know. if I have 3 Teslas in my account, let's just say for a number, if I have 3 Teslas in my account, and I can only drive one car
at a time,
an even time, or maybe 2, I don't know. Maybe my wife and I wants to take different cars on it. Why do I have to pay FSD 3 times?
Hey, listen.
If I can only use it on one car.
No. I'm not against the idea. I'm just telling you, playing devil's advocate, right? Like, I'm all for it. I think they should have had like a fraction or fee to have FSD transferred from one car to the next to begin with. That's a
whole different topic in itself.
I agree. Absolutely.
But I think the problem with your idea, and not problem, I'm saying from the perspective of Tesla, right? They're going to say, hey, there's no preventative measure in terms of basically it becoming a transfer method of FSD, right? And again, it's not. Well, it could be not only tied to the driver profile, but also the VIN, right? Because I mean, these cars are connected. Doesn't take much. No, for sure.
Right. We already have evidence that they're starting to think about moving the driver profiles to the cloud. I mean, Green had already tweeted about that. He's already seen the screens and stuff. So that's going to be brilliant, and that would be really, really nice. I mean, despite the fact that some cars are going to have some slight differences as far as the seating position is concerned, but things like, all the features that you like to have turned on and off, and maybe your radio stations come across in your playlist and stuff, that would be really nice.
Just
but
simple driving settings in terms of like certain things, it makes a world of difference.
Well, and this is a thing that I've talked to, communicated with me in the past, because when you switch between driver profiles, at least in my experience, is that when you go into autopilot, those features don't get saved, in the sense that if you flip over, like I use easy access in my car, right?
Yeah.
Or easy entry or whatever it's called. You unbuckle, my seat moves up and my steering wheel gets out of the way. My car is a little lower than most Model 3, so it makes it a little bit easier to get out. And I remember when I first got the car that I'd completely forgotten that when you use that, unless you go into your autopilot settings and mirror them in the easy access thing, when you got back in your car and you'd be like, you're wondering why your car's not switching lanes anymore and stuff, is because all that stuff is turned off. And I think it's a safety feature involved that when you flip back to your profile, those things are not automatically turned on. At least that's my impression. They might have fixed it since then, but for the longest time, I was wondering what the hell's going on with all my stuff until I realized that I had to go into autopilot settings for both profiles and make sure that all of the stuff that I liked turned on so that I didn't lose anything the moment I buckled out of my car.
Yeah.
So that was something that I was fielding out for many, I mean, it seemed like months or weeks in many cases where people were like, oh, what's going on? And so you forget that if you use easy access or easy entry, or whatever you call it, that some of those settings are lost. So,
and I think it's because it's like a flaw in how they develop the software. Because easy entry is technically a driver profile, which has to have all your profile settings.
It's exactly what it is.
Yeah, but the minute you go into drive, certain settings cannot be changed until you're back into park. So when you go into park, you're back on easy entry. So unless you manually go into your driver profile, change your settings, you're always flipping the settings off, which you can never turn back on, right? So it's kind of a design flaw on Tesla's perspective, because they should have had like I don't know.
Probably not as thought out as people thought or maybe expected it to be. So.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait for the cloud thing. And Paul and I were talking about that just last week, because Paul just got his new Y and he's saying, oh, I got to change all the settings. It's going to take me days. It's like getting a new cell phone, right? Before, when you couldn't to manually set everything up. Now cell phones, you can just transfer all the information over and all the settings seamlessly. So yeah, why can't you do it on a car? And for people that are trading up or trading down or trading over to different cars,
we need the cloud thing.
Absolutely, well, when I did my hardware upgrade, I lost all my settings, and it took me like an hour to put back all my settings back.
You know why you lost it? Because you weren't nice to the service guy and asked him really nicely to save your settings.
Well, you know what I'm angry about?
Mine were all saved.
I'm not angry about the settings. I'm angry that I lost all my 3 stars on Beach Buggy Racing.
I was gonna say I knew it had something to do with the games.
Yeah, and my 2048 high score.
Actually, that reminds me, there was a time, and I think it was probably a couple of years ago, and then I tweeted Elon about the fact of having some kind of public leaderboard for the games, and he said, oh, that was a good idea, and he was going to do it. Of course, 2 years later, we haven't seen anything, so obviously it's not very high on the priority list, but I do remember tweeting Elon about that and saying that that was something they were looking at.
When I tweeted my 2048 score, he said the same thing. I said, hey, can we get a leaderboard? He said, sure, but that was
before the FSD.
That was about a year and a half ago. Yeah. But we do have leaderboards. To be fair, we have leaderboards on that one game, Polytopia.
I'll take your word for it.
There's leaderboards on that one.
Yeah, they're probably tying into cloud service for that stuff, though.
Yeah. Okay, I got a quick question before we're just going to interrupt the FSD stuff. I got a couple more tweets from Elon to go through, but there's been some discussion in the chat here. I've noticed going back and forth. A person named Stephanie asked, how do you all think the process will go for owners with 2.5 hardware signing up for the subscription when hardware 3 is required?
Well, you'll get a hardware upgrade. Yeah. That'll come as part of the commitment, right? Again, if you buy for FSD right now, if you have 2.5 and you need FSD, you get a computer upgrade as part of the deal.
And there won't be any flat rate for the install or anything? That'll all be priced into the monthly?
I would suggest that it's all included in the price. But again, it comes down to what's the minimum commitment that Tesla's going to want. People get a pound of flesh out of you.
Exactly. That's the thing. It's good. Yeah, I keep going back to that minimum. You're right. You're absolutely right. Where were we? Oh, where do we leave off? Okay, just one more thing on that Elon tweet. Right after he confused all of us and said the download button. Was that it? The download button. Yeah, download button. He tweeted again and said, tell me if where your take is on this, guys. He said availability varies by region due to regulatory approval delays and or Tesla internal development and testing. Okay, we all knew that. Note, this is the thing. Note, word quote unquote beta is used to reduce complacency in usage and set expectations appropriately. All software is first tested internally by Tesla's simulation and Q&A drive teams. So why do you think he went out of his way to define or note the term beta?
Because his lawyers told him to.
Exactly. Exactly.
This is all CYA stuff, right, guys? Come on.
Yeah. Now, my next question to you guys is, do you see a day in the soon future, if that's a word, that we're going to come out of beta?
No.
Well, remember, how long was Gmail in beta for, guys?
5
10
years. I
years?
just looked it up.
That's exactly what Franklin said today.
2014, April 1st, 2014 is when they launched.
Yeah.
To July of 2019 or June of 2019.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's an email system that doesn't have the capability of causing havoc or destruction
somebody,
on the road.
yeah.
Yes, exactly. And how many features in the car still labeled as beta, and it's been years now.
Exactly. Yeah. Autopilot's still beta.
Yeah, this beta is going to be around for a while.
Summon's still beta.
Summon is garbage.
Hey, settle down there. I love Summon.
Did you use it today, Franklin?
I never
Did
used
No,
it.
I couldn't. We were like,
I don't know. You usually get your daily.
I don't trust
fix.
it. I don't trust it. I don't trust it.
I trust it more than I should. It's
Yeah.
a great feature.
We'll see.
You know what? It makes for good videos and it makes for fun impressing people, but I only use it in school parking lots when nobody's around. I mean, going to Canadian Tire and trying to summon your car, forget about it.
I would use it at Costco.
Oh, Franklin. See,
Well,
you gotta be okay.
I
Anyways.
value my car too much.
There's a reason why. So basically, if you strategically park, you can use it. Is basically what I'm trying to say. Like,
You shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
you're right, but based off how the feature works currently, to get the most out
Listen,
of it,
I'll
I
be
do.
really impressed when they do reverse. You know, when they do seek and park mode. Then I
that's
will
more
be very
useful.
impressive.
Yes.
that will
But
be very impressive.
Didn't he say last time he mentioned that? He said that it's a little bit weird right now, where it doesn't always park in between the lines
Of
or
course
something
not,
along
yeah.
those lines.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. But
Well, if you see the way normal smart summons or forward smart summons work, there's no doubt that it's wonky.
let's
but
just say I wish all parking lots were like Costco parking lots, where you got ample space.
Oh
between
yeah,
the
that
cars.
little bumper thing. Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
But it's like I've had moments where it's been raining and I've pulled it up and it's great where I don't get
Oh no,
wet.
there's a use case for it, absolutely. But
yeah,
Still part of
you know, FSD is their priority right now. It's like all work on summon and smart summon is basically dropped.
everything. I'm surprised we're having SpaceX launches, and that's not on the back burner. We're gonna get to SpaceX in a little bit, but before that, let's get to the Canadian take or spin on it, because we've talked about this, and this is everything we've talked about FSD tonight has been strictly pertaining to the US, because that's the only place it is right now. And I'm sorry to tell you, the download button and writing emails and all this stuff, it's only for the Americans. Like, it's not for Canadians. And the three of us on the panel here are Canadians. So our good friend James Locke, who's also Canadian, even though he lives down in the States, followed up on Elon's tweet there, where he talked about the beta and the, like you said, Trevor, the legal licensing part of it. And he said, Canada going to be included this round, or still a wait due to regulations. And he put the little Canadian flag in case it wasn't sure. And Elon replied to him, said, should be very soon. Many subtle differences between US and Canada roads, so harder than it seems.
So my take on that?
Yep.
90% of that is Quebec's fault.
90. That's it.
I'm glad as
street lights and potholes, my friends.
People are going to get angry. I wish they just region locked. I wish they region locked the areas that were preventing us from getting it. Again, inside source was telling me that a lot of it has to do with snow, and we're going to receive it basically when the snow's gone, from what I understand. But they're still trying to collect as much snow data as they can currently, because come next winter they can't just shut it off all of a sudden because there's snow, right?
Really?
Well, what about our friend Chris there, Dirty Tesla? He's in Michigan. He gets snow. How come he got it? I think that's a BS argument.
The beta testers were told not to use it in snow.
Is this your assumption, or you heard this somewhere?
No, I've seen actual emails and stuff like that.
You're allowed to talk about this kind of stuff? I don't want to get like a cease and desist letter.
To a degree. Like I said, I've seen a lot of like inside information about the beta.
Well, it kind of ties in, I think, a lot of ways of arguments that I've made about, you know, this whole concept of going to level 4 and eventually level 5. There is absolutely no way that Tesla's going to get to level 5 with the current hardware that they have right now. I'm sorry. You can talk about software all you want, but you know, in the winter conditions, when you get snow built up on the front of your car and you lose the radar and you lose all autopilot capabilities, and then you have cameras that are obstructed because they don't have spray washers on them. So you're not going to get to level 5, because if you read the regulations, you look at level 5, it means full autonomy in all conditions all the time. That's like 9 point followed by how many nines, right?
12 nines.
Whatever the case may be.
I don't know.
So unless they really deal with the hardware issue of adding sprayers or something like that to the cameras so that the robotaxi fleet can ultimately be indeed fully autonomous, because nobody's going to go outside and lick all the cameras on the cars. I mean, it's not happening. So anyways, that's a discussion for another time, but I just, it still bothers me that people are still touting Tesla's going to get to level 5. I'm sorry, folks. It's not happening with the current hardware suite.
Have you noticed Elon's not even using the term level 5 anymore?
No, of course not, because we're at level 2 right now. We're on the cusp of almost level 3, but the way that, if you look at it, the way it's written in the regulations, that autopilot, even FSD right now, is still level 2 and will always be level 2 for as long as driver intervention and is still required. So this nag screen, if they keep the nag screen in there and you got to keep your hand on the steering wheel to get rid of it, that will always be level 2, always.
Yeah.
If Tesla moves up a notch and does eventually implement driver monitoring so they can get rid of the nag, you could almost call that level 3. So anyways, there's lots of little variations and little subtle details between the different levels, and some people don't really even understand it. And I don't think the regulators really fully look at it. So I think that makes sense in the sense that that's the way Tesla's Elon is talking about FSD now these days, that he's not really talking about the autonomy levels at this point, because there's just, people can nitpick about things just like we're doing now.
Wasn't it like 2 months ago, correct me if I'm wrong, that he said they'll have level 5 by the end of the year? His words.
It's not happening.
He used level 5?
No.
Or did he see feature complete?
Nope, he actually used the word level 5.
Really?
Well, maybe in California where the weather's nice all the time, but I'm telling you, it's not happening up here.
I agree with you. I don't think our hardware here is capable.
It's not capable.
No.
Yeah. And it's not so much, maybe to some extent, the hardware limitations, but the hardware in conjunction with our weather is.
Well, weather is weather is the big thing that makes the hardware inadequate, right? You get snow, you get ice buildup on the cameras, and I mean, you have a robotaxi and you get an ice storm or something like that, and the robotaxi's driving around, all of a sudden it's blinded. It's not level 5 anymore, friends. It's not happening.
It's parking.
So you need a combination of things. Like if you want this thing to be redundant, you not only need potentially either redundant camera systems or extra hardware and technologies in there that would mitigate the weather issue. So, so front windshield wipers. Okay, we already have heaters around the cameras. We know that. Windshield wipers go up and clean the camera. I'm not quite as worried about the front camera. But the side, not even LiDAR. I'm talking about the cameras like on the B-pillars and the front fenders and the rear camera. Yeah. So you're going to need heaters on those things. And I'm talking good heaters, not just like I'm not talking just like cabin spill through of heat here. I'm talking dedicated heaters on these. And second of all, sprayers, because you can melt the ice, but if you get dirt and mud and all kinds of crap on there, and I'm sorry, hydrophobic coatings are not good enough.
No, it isn't. Right.
Anyways, I don't want to turn this into a rant, but
the
bottom line is I'm not buying FSD on the Cybertruck.
Yeah, you know what? In the last
it's a waste of money.
Yeah. I see, you know what? 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I would have argued with you about that, but you know what? I'm slowly coming around to the same.
I mean, I'd love to try it. Don't get me wrong. And I've already paid for it, so I might as well use it in my car when I can. But for me to spill out that kind of money on a new vehicle that I don't think that I can use it. I mean, my use case is probably going to be a lot of ways with you, Dax. I want to, pull a trailer. I know with my Model X, the moment you plug something into that trailer, you lose autopilot completely, period.
Yep.
Not even auto steer, no cruise control, or maybe you got cruise control, but no auto steer, none of that stuff. So I'm assuming that, FSD will be the same thing.
So my original idea to clean the cameras, by the way, and like you over-engineer a solution for a problem. So my idea was my frunk opens up, right? So if I put my drone in the front, if I was able to put a spray bottle on it, I can have the drone fly out, spray all the cameras, fly back into the front, and then shut. So anytime I pre-start my car to heat it up, because we're talking winter, the drone would fly out, clean all my cameras while my car is heating up, and then fly back in and go back into its charging base. The front closes, and then
Didn't somebody develop a car or a van or something like that had a built-in? I think it was Honda, right? Honda had a built-in drone in the top of the van that would come out. Oh, yeah.
I think it was BMW that actually has a patent on this, where they have a patent where they say drones will fly and clean your car for you as it's in lots.
I did hear something about that years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you look at this screenshot, right? Perfect example.
Yes, this is something I took just probably 2 weeks ago, maybe a week and a half ago. I was driving home and I was going west around dinner time when the sun was setting. And I only bring this up because you guys are talking about inclement weather and stuff like that. This was a sunny, dry day.
Oh, yeah.
It was clear, not a cloud in the sky. But you know what was in the sky? That big orange ball. And it was blinding. I'm going to full screen so you guys see. It was blinding the front windshield camera. And this message came up. And the screen, I've never seen this before, it was flashing red. Instead of the blue nag on when you're on autopilot, it was flashing red. And this message came up, said traffic control feature may be degraded, front camera blocked or blinded. That's just from the
I get those on the B pillar cameras quite often.
Yeah, I've got it a couple times on the B pillar camera for whatever reason, but this was on the front camera. And like I had my visor down, my sunglasses on, and it was blinding me. So no surprise it was blinding the camera for sure. So that in itself, weather excluding weather, that was
well,
terrible.
It's still weather based, but yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, good weather. But you're right. These, I mean, we could go on for about weather. We can go on about subscription.
I'm done talking about FSD. Move on.
Yeah. This is okay. Let's talk about. Oh, is this FSD? No. This is you alluded to it. Yeah, the Cybertruck. Now it's not a lot of information, but Elon did tweet about it, and this article is brought to you guys by my friend Drives Tesla Canada, which is Darren. He does great work here, and he's got some. Oh, this was actually from him. Anyways, it was update that Elon was talking about, and I'll go scroll down for the tweet. Gary Black, he's that financial guy, right? That investor or analyst or something like that, if I remember correctly. He asked Elon back on March 6th. I think this was the same day with the whole FSD thing. He said, any update on the Cybertruck first delivery date, cool features, or any options? Patiently waiting. And Elon replied to him, says, I think, and tell me if you heard this before, maybe a few months ago. He said, update probably in Q2. Cybertruck will be built at Giga, Texas. So focus right now is on getting that beast built. Very vague, turned into an article.
Probably is the update, is the keyword there.
Yeah.
Probably. Well, he said they would probably show what it looked like back in December. Well, he said in about a month, and that was in November, which would have been December.
Exactly.
So if you notice, he's very good with his words. Probably about soon.
Someone's trained him. Someone's trained him because.
Well, you know, Elon has finally come to realize that his Elon time is not always, you know, on. He's not always in his A game. He has realized that. Listen, personally, I think as far as the Cybertruck is concerned, there's no doubt that when they're ready, Tesla will talk about it. Listen, this is not our first rodeo. We've been through this with the Model 3. Tesla was very reticent to talk about the Model 3 until it actually reached production. And even then, when it went in production, they were very reticent to talk about things. So Tesla's they're funny because they seem to be the kind of company that they'll show a prototype and then it's like radio silence until the product is actually in production, and then it gets into customers' hands. And then those customers take the delivery. Then they start talking about the features. Tesla never does.
Yeah.
Well, look at that. It's like a surprise release, basically.
Yeah, it's almost like they want to purposely keep things completely under wraps as long as humanly possible to try and delight the early people, to get as much press as possible from those people that first get the cars, rather than, fine, we're going to do a reveal and now we're going to talk about all the specs and then you can buy the car. They've never done that. It's always been people get the car and then they start talking about it. Like, look at Model Y. They didn't talk about Model Y. They revealed the car, had no intro, finally started getting production, and then people were clamoring about, what's the size of the, what's the back seat like, and what's this and what's that.
Towing and this, yeah.
We didn't find out any of that information until it actually got in the customer's hands.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of ways the Cybertruck's going to be the same way.
Yeah. At least they had a reason for the why, because they didn't want to eat into the 3 sales. And
well,
I think that and makes sense.
Here or there, I mean, but I don't know.
No, you know what? I agree with you.
I want to know as much as the next guy, but it's like part of me is just like, man, I just want it in my hands and then spend all this time discovering all the fun stuff about it without knowing it prior. It's kind of like, but the people that are asking, look, the way I look at it is like the people that are asking about wanting to know all the Cybertruck details is just like my wife as a kid who would go under the Christmas tree and wrap all of her gifts and wrap them back up. So on Christmas Day, she knew exactly what she was getting.
By the way, happy International Women's Day, everyone.
Yes.
Yes.
So anyways,
Trevor,
sorry, I didn't mean to throw my wife under the bus.
You plan not to follow any of these.
But that's just the way she is, right?
Do you plan not to follow any of the news releases for it?
Sorry?
Trevor, you want to be surprised, so you plan not to Cybertruck, okay. Like you blocking that word out of your
No. It's just, well, you see, the thing is that we all know this. Oh, can you please not get up there? Come on.
Yes.
Right.
I don't want to have to tell you twice.
Sorry about that. I'm okay with, the truck coming up in the configurator and then here are the options you can buy, but the fine details.
Yeah.
Tesla's not known for that. Yeah.
No, I like to find out on my own. It's like, oh, you open up the glove compartment. Oh, look at this neat little present in there. Tesla sweats the details in those little things. And it's not until you tear things apart, sometimes you really go digging, that you find all the little things that are not even shown on the website, right?
Yeah.
So, it wouldn't not surprise me that when they do show it, it'll be like, okay, yeah, it has mirrors because regulations. But unless you actually see the cars side by side, you're not necessarily going to see all the little minute details. Some people were fortunate to have seen the real prototype in person. Most people haven't. So it's just like, oh, okay, well, all I know is the production car and not what we saw as far as the prototype is concerned. So anyways.
I'm actually surprised we've seen as much as we did when I'm talking about that, I'm talking like the Jay Leno thing and everything. Like I thought like after the reveal, just like the Y, just like the 3, you wouldn't see it until months or years later when they started doing those drives and around Fremont.
There's a lot of details about the Cybertruck. If you pay attention to the prototype, there's a lot of details that they built into the prototype. Like most people, they build a prototype. It's like a show car. It's not representative of the final production car because they don't put all the features in. But Tesla put a lot of stuff in there. I mean, you got tracks in the bed, you got rails on the side, you got lighting in there, you've got the charge port with the compressor built in, the T slot. I mean, there's so much stuff that they built into the prototype. So my opinion is that we're going to see all those things on the final car. There'll be some tweaks here and there for usability's sake. And, okay, well, that didn't quite work out. We're going to make a little change here and there. I think most of the changes, as far as that's going to be concerned, is going to be things like on the interior. They really got to refine the interior a little bit more, my personal opinion. If you guys have seen the F-150, what Ford has done with the F-150 with the built-in, laptop work center and stuff, man, I would love to see that on the Cybertruck. That makes total sense. I'd be a little disappointed. I mean, I'm setting myself up for disappointment that they're not going to do it. But I think
they won't ever.
Yeah. But that's just something that I would hope that Tesla really pays attention to and really takes it to the next level. My expectations is at least not on the first one. Remember, Cybertruck is not going to be the same vehicle forever. They are going to iterate on it, and it is going to get better over time. We've already seen it in all the current cars, right? So if they don't do it in the first iteration, okay, maybe in the future, they'll do something like that. But I'm hoping to be pleasantly surprised by the things that we see in the truck. Again, it will look like the prototype minus some small little differences where it makes sense for whatever reason.
Exactly. And that's what I wanted to get out of you and Franklin too. What do you guys like? Everyone's, I guess, since Joe Rogan podcast where he talked about little changes, how they have to make it at approximately 3% smaller or whatever to fit in the tunnel and all that kind of stuff. So since then, I find everyone wants to know what it's going to look like, what changes. I mean, I've had people come up, not on the street, but at work and stuff and say, hey, so you know what the changes are going to be with the Cybertruck? It's like, guys, it's not going to change.
We have history.
Yeah, for the most part, majority of people, probably other than maybe 1% of hardcore Tesla people, like ourselves, or not, maybe not even us, maybe outside of us, are not going to be able to tell the difference of what this truck is going to look like.
I mean, you look at the last two products, the Model 3 and the Model Y. I mean, how many people actually saw the prototype and can compare it against the current car? Very, very few people.
Exactly.
The car is, for all intents and purposes, exactly what they showed, as far as the prototype is concerned. Yeah, there's some minor changes in the interior, but there's nor here nor there. That's kind of expected. I think the Cybertruck is going to look exactly like the prototype, with the addition of mirrors, some small little changes here and there. Keep in mind, the prototype Cybertruck had no windshield wipers. Tesla is known for hiding the windshield wipers for aerodynamic reasons underneath the hood. So now that breaks up the shape of the Cybertruck in a sense, because now you have to have the split happening between the hood and the windshield, right? Because you got to keep that. So whether they implement something that's similar to what we have now in terms of the windshield wipers, or they implement this fabled electromagnetic one, I don't know. So
yeah,
obviously
the laser wipers, right?
Yeah. No, I'm not a believer in the laser thing. It definitely the electromagnetic one makes more sense. How that's implemented, I don't know. So I'm expecting to see some differences there for sure, because that just makes sense, right? Obviously changes in the interior, that paper dash, that's not happening. They're going to do something else. The yoke steering wheel still up in the air. Personally, 50% of me is like, it has no business being in the Cybertruck, because it is, it's a truck after all.
It's a truck, exactly.
The other half to me is like, well, it's a spaceship from the future, so yeah, it deserves one. Even the Model S right now that they're producing, lots of people are like still expecting the yoke, but we still haven't spotted one in the wild yet.
It's so polarizing, that yoke, eh?
I mean, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of, the regulators getting off their high horse and letting, Tesla prove to them that things are right. But anyways, that's nor here nor there.
You said it before we went live, how the community like jumps on a certain topic, and then like 24 hours later, something else comes out. Like that steering wheel was all I saw. Like, oh my god, I hate that wheel, or I love it.
Yeah.
And then like 2 days later, like
the object.
Yeah. Everyone...
Well, the Cybertruck's the same way, right? Remember the first time you see it and like, I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. And like the next day I'm like, man, that thing's cool.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just like that. It's just because Tesla tends to do things that are shocking. Tesla does things that are shocking, and your body takes time to absorb it and make it right. And then it becomes your new normal. I mean, I have a huge screen right here, and it's the whole backdrop is this 3D render I did of the Cybertruck. And I look at that thing every day. And I'm like, man, I can't wait to be driving that monster. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
I'm hoping in a lot of ways. I mean, if you remember, the Cybertruck had the flush door handles like the Model S, right?
Yeah.
For those of guys who've been paying attention, Tesla had a lot of problems with those door handles on the Model S. They still do. I'm hoping that they finally this thing, because last thing I want to do is have to deal with those stupid door handles.
Yeah. You know what? Give us Model 3 door handles. I don't care.
I think that's like the #1 replaced part on the Model S.
Yep.
Yeah, they always
a lot of warranty replacements on that.
Hopefully they've learned and they've engineered something that's going to work right this time. I don't know. We'll see.
We have a question here.
Question
Will Tesla lower the price for Canada as
go.
it doesn't reflect the current exchange rate?
Here we go.
Trevor was trying his hardest not to get into this, but it's a question. So Dave wants to know, what do you think, Trev?
Ignoring this, so I had to highlight this just for Trevor.
No, because you know what? We joke around. I totally agree with you, Trevor. I mean, something needs to be done, and you tweeted out to Elon, did you not?
Several times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the bottom line is that, outside of the U.S., everyone's at a disadvantage because Tesla doesn't do any foreign exchange hedging like many other car manufacturers do in order to keep the prices as close as possible. It's basically straight exchange plus whatever import duties and taxes and stuff. So Teslas are just basically more expensive outside of the U.S. than the U.S. itself. However, if you look at the Canadian site, I mean, our dollar has actually improved dramatically over the last year because Tesla is still pricing their cars as if it was still 40 cents on the dollar, but it's not anymore. It's like 25 cents. And Tesla has generally been pretty good about adjusting for exchange rates when they release new cars or they make significant changes. That's happened several times now. We haven't seen any price changes. Now, I've gone on Twitter and tried to get to Elon's attention on this. Like, okay, you guys were pretty good about this, but now you're not doing it anymore. What's going on? Like, why are we trading at why are you still charging us 40 cents on the dollar when it's actually 25, and it's been 25 or so for some time now? I'm not asking you to adjust it every week, but maybe you should take a look at it every 6 months or a year. I understand that Tesla has a cost of doing business outside of the US. That's a given, right? We have different insurance here, the legal ramifications of having 2 official languages. I mean, those things. But when you look at a Model S in the US and you compare it to the Canadian, I mean, you can't tell me there's $16,000 worth of price difference that's warranted of that. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And even some people are down in the chat saying the exchange, it's more than just the exchange. But even if you factor in the added cost on top of the exchange, it still doesn't equate to $1.40.
Well, I remember, you guys, I don't know if you guys remember, but Tesla used to have a pretty good PR person. His name is George Blankenship. Yep. And he came from Apple. Great guy. I miss him dearly. He was wonderful for Tesla. But anyways, in 2013, when Tesla started shipping the Model S in earnest, he had answered some Canadian questions about it. Listen, we charge things, with exchange plus a couple of $1,000 just for cost of doing business. Okay, that's reasonable. But this is so far beyond reasonable now, it's just not even funny. So I understand, tack a couple $1,000 on, but you can't tell me that, a Model S has to cost $16,000 more, or even an SR Plus, what is it, $5,000 to $6,000 more?
It's because they haven't, and it's like you said, they haven't adjusted the prices in so long that we're kind of getting screwed.
Yeah.
Where, like, when I got my Model 3, it was exactly what you said. It's the exchange rate plus a couple of $1,000s for the price of paying business. And that's because they were just coming out. And I was like, okay, it worked out great. But like right now, we're basically
so far out of whack right now.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of wondering how that's affecting their sales in a lot of ways, because let's face it, as Canadians, we do import a lot of goods from the US. We use a lot of goods in the US. So we're hyper aware of the exchange rate all the time. Mm-hmm. And when you go look at a Tesla, and you're cross shopping, or if you looked at US prices, and you're left scratching your head, like, why are we paying 40% more? Doesn't make any sense.
And especially when it's 21% currently. Like, that's a huge jump.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm using 25 as I checked it last week. But
even if you round it up to 25, yeah. I mean, and the problem, what makes it worse, what adds salt to the wound, is we can't drive down there and pick one up and bring it back up here. We're very much at a disadvantage. Americans can import Canadian cars, but we cannot do the reverse. Yeah. Even though it is technically allowed, even though it is technically allowed on the RIV site, which was the Registered Import Vehicles site, because there was a long time Tesla did not allow that at all, even for used cars. You couldn't bring them in because you couldn't get them plated or anything like that. Technically, you can do it now, but I don't know of anybody who's actually done it. Yeah, and Elon, I haven't
maybe get the FSD beta quicker though, so it might be worthwhile.
I haven't gone and looked for the tweet, but someone asked Elon about that a couple of weeks ago, and he went and talked. I think he was talking mainly about Norway, was it, or one of the European countries? I think it was Norway, and he was talking about all the different tariffs and European this and European that, and it made sense for that. But for us, we don't have tariffs. We have a free trade agreement. I think it's called in the new thing now that they just did. It's not called NAFTA anymore. It's called Canada, United States, Mexico Agreement, the CUSMA or something like that. And for that reason, it should be free trade. We shouldn't be paying, and unless I'm reading it wrong, unless I'm ignorant to it.
There was a time with the Model S when they were charging more because the Model S was less than the 51% made in the US on account, I think, for most of the batteries at that point, because the batteries are coming from Japan, which didn't qualify for the NAFTA agreement. So there was a premium to be paid. Model 3, Model S, or Model 3 and Model Y, 75% made in the US now. So we're well beyond that. But yet, here we are, still paying a premium.
So I hope that answers your question, Dave. It's not going to get cheap. Well, we don't know. I can't even sit here and say.
There's still hope. Yeah. We got to get eyeballs on this, and we got to get the right eyeballs. Elon's in Texas. He's building rockets. He's not paying attention to the business anymore.
He's looking up. He's not looking down.
Hey, there's some Canadian content creators that'd be angry if the price dropped, because,
well.
You can see Dax's face. He's like, stop.
Content creators. Oh, I see. Yeah.
He curates content technically, and he wasn't happy on the last price drop or one of the price drops. Okay, never mind.
Okay, I still don't know what you're talking about. Okay, our last topic before we wrap up the show is from Drive Tesla Canada, and I guess Franklin, you can answer to this a lot, but I still want Trevor's take on it. Starlink, I didn't think it was going to happen because I think last year or before, someone had asked Elon about it, and he gave a weird answer. But this article and this news thing sort of says something different. Starlink satellite internet may be coming to your car soon enough. Your car meaning hopefully a Tesla, but you never know. It could be any car. So, anyways, Darren here found a recent FCC application which revealed that SpaceX is looking to expand satellite internet service to moving vehicles, vessels, and aircraft. Like, can you imagine that? So I guess it has to do it's check out this name. It's called Earth Stations in Motion, eSIM. It's not the same kind of eSIM you're thinking of for your phones, that kind of eSIM. It's Earth Stations in Motion. Wow, that's amazing. So they want to do it for the right? It says US.
Can I be the bearer of bad news?
What?
So Elon tweeted, not connecting Tesla cars to Starlink as their terminal is much too big. This is for aircraft, ships, large trucks, and RVs.
Yeah.
Can you let
the dish in its current incarnation is too big?
Yes, but they're talking about a mini. There's an application that linked the latest Starlink mini rumors that was floating over Twitter and stuff like that. So they're thinking maybe that they may make a smaller dish to use this eSIM technology.
But he just said not connecting to Tesla cars.
Did he say that while I've been doing the show?
524. Not connecting Tesla cars to Starlink. It's very clear. Okay. Not connecting Tesla cars to Starlink.
So
not going to stop me from putting an arm in the back of the Cybertruck with a Starlink on it. So when you go camping, you just open it up, right?
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, you can speak to this. Sorry. I apologize. I didn't see that late breaking news before
I'm sorry.
Fish for this article. I appreciate you clarifying that, Franklin, and I thank you very much for ruining my last topic. But while we're on a Starlink topic, maybe you can tell us. I know you've done some videos. You've bit the bullet, and you're a beta tester of the Starlink. And I saw your last video about video games and online streaming and online video games and stuff like that. And in a nutshell, go watch his video. Don't take my word for it if you haven't watched the video. But in a nutshell, it works great when it works.
So there's not enough latency where it's noticeable for input lag, which is great. So it's fantastic. But I find that there's too much maintenance, like downtime. Basically, your downtime's split up into 3 categories. You have obstruction downtime, lost satellite downtime, and then scheduled maintenance downtime. And scheduled maintenance downtime happens way too often, where especially if you're trying to game online, you have scheduled maintenance and they don't tell you, it's not scheduled in the sense where it's like, hey, there's an actual schedule. It just happens randomly. And then when I was playing, I found I got
no warning.
No warning. No, it just poof, your internet's gone. Right?
Scheduled downtime. We just
at least Windows says we're shutting down your computer in 5 minutes to do a
I like to get
update.
their Google Calendar maintenance schedule or something so I can add it to my calendar or something. But there's that, and then I find that the latency is great when it's working, but then it has like spikes of latency, and I've showed it in the app where basically it just totally disconnects you, or it'll give you like huge spikes of lag. And someone commented, they're like, "Oh, you don't have it set up right. You have obstruction view." I'm like, no, you don't understand. It's not my setup. It's still beta, right? And we go back to that word.
That's what I think it is, right?
Yeah. And I'm in the process of putting up the video this week coming at some point, hopefully. I've connected all 100 plus devices to it, and it works great. I have
100 plus?
I have over 100 wireless devices in my house. And I have them all connected to it.
And you wonder why your current ISP sucks.
Get brain cancer next week.
Well, and it works.
And his neighbors too.
So, like, I'll give you an example of how well it does work. And the gaming is a negative experience, obviously. But I have over a dozen Nest cameras around my house, and when I load them up, it loads up instantly.
Jesus, you work for CSIS?
I know someone who has Rogers, who lives right close to me, who loads up their Nest cameras and it's delayed when it's loading. So Starlink is actually substantially better for my cameras, where it's much worse for gaming, right?
Yeah,
and
you're not sharing your neighbor's trunk.
Yeah, so it does work well when it's working.
Different radio spectrum, right?
Yeah, it's just too much maintenance downtime. Like he put out that tweet last week where he said, "Hey, we're going to make the speed faster." I think it's fast enough. I just want to see it more stabilized.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Well, in all fairness, though, since you've had it, you've noticed the speed increase, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and this is what Mark's saying in the chat. It's that it's beta. So obviously, you've taken that into consideration. You of anyone understands that there's going to be growing pains and hiccups and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So this time next year, it could be like flawless in terms of downtime and hiccups, and the speed could be 10x. Who knows?
And that's just it, right? I see it as like, I'll give an example of how beta this is. If you want to, you set it up and you enter in your username, like your SSID and your password for your Wi-Fi. If you want to change that, you have no portal you can go to. You have to factory reset the thing to set up a new Wi-Fi name or Wi-Fi password.
They haven't even gone around to building that part of the software yet.
Yeah, so like when I say beta, like
it's
or
beta.
when they say beta, they really mean beta, right?
It's beta of the beta of the beta.
It's more of like an alpha build, if I have to be honest.
Yeah, I got the invite too, but I was just like, nah, my internet's stable here, and the last thing I need is another freaking cost of living.
Yeah.
Jesus,
$800 too.
It sucks because like if I go 2 streets over, I can get like true fiber in my like where they are, but where I am, I can't get good speeds just because I live in literally like the wrong 2 streets of where they did the installation.
Yeah.
Have you thought of moving?
I have, yeah.
I know you
just
do.
for internet.
Yeah. You know what? I know people listening at home think I'm joking, but if you know Franklin, like I know Franklin, that probably has crossed his mind when it comes to the internet. Yeah. Yeah. And one thing I learned about Starlink, and I have no interest in getting it right now because just like Trevor, the area I'm in is quite fine, and they just can't compare prices. Like, I mean, I pay $70 a month and I get a gig down, so I can't complain about that. But what I did learn about it is you can't take it on the road. You can't like move around it. You can't go camping with it. You put it on your motorhome or anything.
Well, not yet.
Does this go back to my topic, or you're meaning like they're gonna lift that?
Well, the constellation's not filled out yet, right? They don't have all latitudes covered yet. So
there's actually a cool website. I don't remember the name currently, but it actually showed where all the Starlink.
Yeah, I forget what that's called.
It's called NASA.com. No, just kidding.
But
okay,
it's a good service. It's in the works, right?
For people up north.
Oh, it's brilliant for people. Yeah. I have friends that have a cottage, and they were like, "We got crappy internet." I says, "I had a solution for you, but you're gonna have to wait a year."
And they're probably paying an arm and a leg out there too, from what I understand.
Part of you is like, "Hey, man, I'm in the cottage. Do I really need internet?" I mean,
that's the other thing.
Survive this long without internet.
My buddy just built a cottage on an island, and he signed up for it. He can't get it till the fall, but he can't wait because before this, his what was he looking at? I think he was looking at Dish, some kind of satellite. Like, and you know how painful that is.
Or the old point-to-point systems.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Carrier pigeon communication.
We may go back to that, buddy. You never know. It just takes one meteorite. I saw that movie. What was that movie? What was that movie I saw on Amazon just a couple weeks ago with Gerard Butler? Was it?
Oh my!
Yeah, it was the satellite killing everything. It was a good movie. It had the girl from remember the old TV show from about 5-10 years ago, V, the remake of the original V.
God, I remember the original V.
Greenland. Thanks, John. Greenland. Yeah, I don't want to give away the ending, but it's a good movie.
Okay, is that what the movie's called? Greenland.
Greenland. Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah.
2020 film.
Yeah, 2020 or 2021. It's on Amazon.
Okay, all right. It says 88% of people like this film.
Oh, really?
6.4. Yeah, 6.4 out of 10 on IMDb, 79% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah,
Wow,
but
that's-
only 33% in this chat liked it. So I don't know, Trevor.
My wife won't like it because it's not science fiction. It's not a chick flick.
It's a little
Sorry, I should say it's science fiction. If it's science fiction, she wants nothing to do with it.
It's got a little bit of romance in it. I can't lie.
Ugh.
It's about a couple having some marital. You watch the movie.
All right. I'm gonna watch it. Put it on my wish list.
Yeah, and if you don't like it, don't blame me.
Okay. All right.
I'm
Too bad you
not
can't tag your wish list with the person who suggested it, so you know who to blame.
Netflix new social media platform. I blame him.
Yeah.
Blame your friends easier than ever before.
Well, I can tell you a series to watch, and I know you'll love it, whether you're into it or not, and you won't be blaming me. It's WandaVision. Watch that. But
I've been hearing about that. I gotta go and watch it.
Oh, if you're at all into the Marvel universe,
I am not, but I'll watch one episode.
okay, then oh no, you need to
Okay,
don't watch just one episode because you'll think, what the hell am I watching? You got to watch 2 or 3 episodes.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
The first episode or first couple are black and white.
Yeah, the first episode is Bewitched. I'm telling you right now. That's not giving anything away. But you got to.
We started watching Kim's Convenience.
That's funny. I heard.
Which is an awesome show.
Is it?
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's on Netflix. CBC show on Netflix. Can you imagine? And I never watched CBC, but this is a good show. Anyway,
that's true. It is. It is CBC.
Yeah, it's a great show.
It only took
the
American viewers won't know what the hell I'm talking about.
Welcome to the TV watching podcast.
Sorry, guys.
No,
I started it.
You should watch.
Well,
huh? All right.
Does anyone have any? I don't have. Let me think. Do I have any? I'm totally unprepared for this week's episode. Does anyone have any Tesla stories?
We have a quick question.
Oh, you got a question? Good. I can save our Tesla story then. Go ahead.
It's at the bottom there. Do you guys like the new Iconic 5?
Ionic 5?
Ionic
5. The vehicle.
Yeah, I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
Lazy boy seats, fast charging speeds, and exotic paint colors.
I love the look of it.
More cars like this.
It's like Hyundai's version of like a Cybertruck Mini. I think it's awesome. It looks great.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited. Franklin and I have had this conversation a few months ago regarding Hyundai, but I like it. I think I know your take on it, Franklin, which is probably the opposite of mine. But no, it looks promising. If they can deliver everything that they showed that it's supposed to do with that reverse charging, what do they call something to load or something? Yeah, I mean,
how angry were you, Dax, when you saw the Apple squash the rumors there?
I wasn't angry. I'm not like a
were you?
Hyundai fanboy. For anyone listening at home, because we've sort of brought this public now, thanks, Franklin. A few months ago, when all the news articles in the media picked up that rumor that Apple was in talks with Hyundai for making or partnering with them.
No way.
Franklin's like, no way. Hyundai's a cheap brand. Why would well, you don't even like Apple to begin with, but you're like, why would Apple like go in partnership with such a cheap company? I said, you know what?
That's what Apple does.
Hyundai's come a long way. It's not the Hyundai of the early 90s where their cars blow up and everything. And my mom had one, and it literally did blow up in Cambridge. Yeah, they make good quality cars now, and they're pretty far along with the EV
they're
platform.
Still considered warranty cars as far as I'm concerned. And it doesn't make sense for Apple to Apple should team up with a premium brand because they represent premium products, right? You wouldn't if Apple gone into the hamburger business, they're not going to go team up with McDonald's because they want to mass produce burgers. They want more of a premium burger, right?
The number one thing you have to remember with Apple is that they will make their own demands and they will absolutely not accept anything lower than any quality that they would deem acceptable. So if they were to partner with Hyundai, you can imagine that their quality standards would be so freaking high.
That's probably why the deal didn't go through.
Yeah, well, I think the deal didn't go through is because it got leaked.
There were rumors they were talking to a BMW at one point too.
Yeah.
And that didn't go.
And there's a new rumor. I forget who the new rumor is. There's a new company that we're talking to. I forget who it was.
I wonder if these rumors are 100% linked to stock prices too.
Who knows?
put out a rumor, pump and dump.
I do know that any company who is talking with Apple, and if you breach that contract and you talk publicly, man, you might as well be in Fight Club because you're out.
That's exactly it, Trevor. That's exactly it. I think maybe that there was a lot of truth to that article, and as soon as Apple realized that, they're like, you know what, we were going to do business with you. We didn't want anyone to know that it was going to come from Hyundai. Maybe because like Franklin, all the Franklins in the world would have saw that.
The only thing more secretive than Apple is the Pentagon.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man.
And even then, it's probably a toss-up.
No, I think Apple has the Pentagon beat because Pentagon's been releasing data lately. All their UFO
stuff. Okay, let's wrap up the show. But before, like I said, the floor is open. If anyone in the chat has any questions before we go, feel free to ask now or forever hold your peace. If you guys have a little Tesla story, it doesn't have to be from the past week. It could be from, I mean, who's all driving it all anymore? So it could be from the last month.
Here's a good one. Apple to acquire Lucid. See, I think that's more reasonable.
Maybe that's the other one I heard right after.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can see that actually because
what's his name? Peter Rawlinson basically, for all intents and purposes, admitted in an interview recently that looks like all of their FSD efforts are pretty much going to be handled by Apple.
Huh? That's a leak. Yeah. And now they're not working with Lucid.
The first rule of talking about Apple, especially with Steve. Like when Steve Jobs was running the company, man.
Oh, he would go
nuclear on people that would leak stuff. I mean, it happened. Remember when the iPhone 4 leaked? Oh my God, what a brouhaha!
Oh, with the bar and everything.
ATI had a deal. Do you guys know this story? So ATI, we're talking about 2001, 2002, somewhere around there.
Welcome to the Apple podcast.
Sorry.
No, I love it.
So Apple was going to hold an event. They were going to announce some new computers, and they were going to have the brand new ATI chips in there. ATI had done had talked the day before. I think they did a press release or something like that without Apple's approval. Steve went ballistic. He literally went to the computers and told everybody, "You're ripping out all of these ATI cards." He removed all mentions from the thing, all the website. Basically, ATI never did business with Apple ever again.
They were dead to him.
They were dead to him.
The thing is,
went ballistic.
Apple currently is so far removed from Steve Jobs, and I say that as a good thing. Not because Steve did a bad job, but Tim Apple.
They're not the same, right? You're absolutely right.
Tim Apple's done an excellent job pushing services because that's where the biggest money is. And from a financial perspective, like if I was investing in Apple, I'd be extremely happy since Tim took over because he took the company in an awesome direction. Like he's done really good things. He doesn't have the big flashy presentations. He doesn't have flashy product releases, but they release things at a steady pace. And
Tesla. Apple is a company that is firing on all cylinders, and they execute extremely well on their products. And when they release the products, notice that they don't talk about specs all that much. It's all about a story, right? That's always been in Apple's DNA. They're a very different company. And I think if you look at Tesla, there's a lot of stuff that Tesla does that's straight out of Apple's playbook.
Yeah. Can you blame them? Yeah. Yeah. It works.
Some stuff I agree with, some stuff I don't, but anyways, a lot of parallels there.
Yeah. True.
All right. Well,
if you guys don't have a stories, we're just gonna wrap it up. We're past the 1.5 hour mark, and which is just over an hour, right?
We can keep going. We can keep going. I'm not tired.
Do you have any stories for us?
I had a nap.
I don't. Like I said, I don't have any stories.
You're not going to make any up this week, like you normally?
I don't make stories up.
Don't be shy because Trevor's here all of a sudden. Like,
do you have a story?
I don't.
Okay, that's fine.
Mine are all real. Actually, hold on. I'll give you guys a story. So, I have a beautiful picture that shows this too. I was driving along.
Tell a story.
Yeah, I'll tell this story. No, don't do that. Stop that. So I was driving along. So as you guys know, for the people who are listening on a week-to-week basis, my city has the highest insurance rates across Ontario.
Oh, I like the story.
So I was driving along yesterday on a regular street doing 60 kilometers an hour because the mark speed was 60 kilometers an hour. And the guy to the right of me, he's the passenger, thankfully. He's outside of the sunroof, standing outside of the sunroof taking a selfie.
Slow down with the story.
Why?
No, just
Oh, you're putting up the photo? So, yeah, and there's like a parade protest going on, but still, you're driving 60 kilometers an hour, standing outside of your sunroof to take a selfie. If you look at the photo carefully, and I think Dax is in the process of pulling it up, you can actually see the whole entire front of the car smashed up. So it tells you a lot about the people driving the vehicle.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
Oh, yeah.
Hold on a second.
Bring up the picture. Let's see. Pictures or it didn't happen, right?
Yeah, and I don't know what I did. Hold on a second. There's no identifying things here.
Even if there is, I couldn't care less because.
Oh, you're right. The front is all smashed up.
Yeah, the front's all smashed up.
Okay.
Right?
Anyone listening the audio version of this,
poutine.
at the 1:40 mark, 1 hour and 40 minute mark, go check out the picture on YouTube on the video version of this.
Like, you guys thought I was joking. Like, it's hard to describe, right? Unless you see the actual photo of how dumb that person is.
Where are the cops?
So that's the worst part about this. There were cops around and they did nothing. Like literally a block away, there's a cop sitting on the side of the road and they drove by.
Wait a minute. Is he the driver?
No, it looks that way, but he's not. Because
No, it does.
It
looks like he's the driver.
Well, autopilot at full effect.
Yeah, on the what is that? A Chevy
Dax,
Cruise?
move the picture up a tiny little bit. We got John in the chat who's asking, is that Bill Gates' face on the building? No, that's not Bill Gates. That's the mascot who's a nobody for Smokes Poutine.
Smokes Poutine. It does look like Bill Gates. Oh, we're having too much fun.
Anyway, that's my story. One of these days, I will dedicate a full YouTube channel for drivers in my city, because I have a lot of footage, like a lot.
Like people of Walmart. What are you going to call it? People of drivers of
Brampton drivers is what I was thinking.
Drivers.
Like
I didn't think you were going to use the name of the city, but now that you did,
I don't really care. Well, how about the video I shared you, Dax? The guy who wanted to get on the highway, where he did a U-turn on oncoming traffic. Like, it's hard to explain. He drove past the highway. He did a U-turn on oncoming traffic. It's not like he U-turned to go back the other, like, with... It's hard to explain. You have to watch the video. It's insane. Like, he did a 180 to get back onto the highway with oncoming traffic. And there's people honking the horn at him, and he's like, thank you for letting him go. It's a nightmare. Just because he missed a highway entrance. Like, just keep driving.
Just go to the next one. What the hell's the matter with you? Oh, I hate people who do that.
Maybe he was drunk.
I'm like, I got to stop now or I move my exit now.
It's my world. You're just living in it.
There's nobody else around me. I'm taking this exit whether you're there or not.
Yes.
Yeah. So, like I said, I have a lot of footage, a lot of pictures, a lot of fun stuff that happens here.
What was that one episode? Was it The Simpsons or I can't remember if it was The Simpsons where some old grandma's trying to exit and she just like cuts off like 6 lanes of traffic just to exit and creates a whole traffic jam and an accident and things are blowing up behind her and everything. I think it was, I want to say The Simpsons or not American Dad, but what's the one
that happens anywhere. Happens here a lot.
But
like,
some
this
of the
is my highway and I'm getting off now.
Yeah. And some of the stuff I see, like, I was just dying of laughter on some of the stuff I see because, like, what else could you do? Like, the stupidity level, and that's why we'll tie this back into FSD and then we'll stop.
Please don't go back to FSD.
FSD has to be better than humans, and from what I see, at least people around me, they don't set the bar very high.
Yeah, I've heard that in the last little while too. Yeah. FSD just has like one more tweak and we're there.
Yeah, we're not.
Yeah.
Any more questions?
Someone did have a question for you, Trev.
Love hearing the recent podcast, Trevor, about your story. It was good.
Oh, good. Glad you liked it. Yeah. For those of you who don't know, I did a video with my two buddies, and we didn't do any Tesla news. Just talked about ourselves and stories and stuff. So yeah, go watch it. I know it's long. Yeah. It's about 2 hours, but
those are sometimes some of the best podcast, right? Like when you've heard everything in the news, you just want to sit down and chat.
Yeah,
get to know each other.
No, it's a good story. It's not a bad story. Go watch it, and it's not something I talk about because it
It's a
involves
tearjerker.
money. No, it involves topics that I don't like talking about. Personal life stuff. But whatever.
Yeah,
we had fun.
All right. Well, I think we've.
Yeah, Caustic said he had a question for Trevor. Oh, right here. Here it is. When's the next cross-country trip happening?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, you guys know Kyle from
Out of spec?
Out of Spec? Yeah, he's been bugging me.
Kyle loves the
he just tweeted. He just ended up in he just arrived in LA with the Mach-E that he's got. I would love to do something with Ian again, or maybe even Kyle. If I did something with Kyle, it would probably be different. I don't know. Well, that's a discussion for another time. In the pandemic, obviously, we can't do anything right now. Yeah. Obviously, when I get one of my cars from the referral program, I plan on doing a big trip, North America, like the big road trip. I don't know. We'll see.
Nice. John,
make sure you stop off here,
waiting.
Okay?
Vancouver's on the list. Everybody's on the list.
Yeah. Everyone, yeah. Sweet. Well, while we got you on your topic of cross country and everything like that, Trev, where can people find you? If like nobody knows, but I'll just entertain.
Well, if you're watching the video, the handle that you see there is my Twitter handle. That's the short form. The long one is Tesla Owners Online. Obviously, the forum that we own and operate, TeslaOwnersOnline.com, is the best and friendliest place to talk about every Tesla, because we have sections for every car that they used to make and currently make and will make. So those are the best places to find me.
Perfect. Okay, thanks everyone. No, I'm just kidding. Franklin, where can people find you, Franklin?
M Frunker on Twitter, Mother Frunker on YouTube, and yeah, that's it.
Perfect. And that just, it sounds like a little bit, but that's a lot. You're there 24/7 monitors. You're like AT, what's it called? ADT, right?
I've been a lot less active because of like health related issues, but yeah.
Franklin, how many days has it been since the announcement of FSD Beta that we don't have it in Canada?
Oh,
you still keeping track of that?
It was like I said, I had a lot of health stuff, so it was hard to keep it going on a day-to-day basis. It was from October 3rd till now, so I'll probably get the counter going again in the very near future. Very soon. I'll get it going again for you, Trevor, very soon.
Hey, all right. Siri, how many days since October 3rd, 2020?
It was 156 days ago.
156 days.
There you go.
Still waiting. Still waiting.
Hey, that hashtag is incredible, the amount of traction it gained and the amount it's been used. It's amazing.
People are pissed off. Yeah.
Well, I lost so many followers because of that hashtag, and it was worth every single one I lost. It was great.
He's really not a bad guy, folks. Like if you did unfollow him, come back. He's actually a nice guy when he's like sober.
It was all for jokes, right? Like everything I posted was supposed to be funny, but not everyone took it that way. Like some people are really like upset. And I'm like, no, it's supposed to be humorous. Like, I don't think I deserve it or should get it before anyone else. You know, like whenever I get it, I get it. And I'm not expecting to get it anytime earlier than it's supposed to be released. But some people really took it serious, right? So,
yeah. It is what it is. And when we get it, we'll get it, right? I mean, it is whatever. You had fun doing it. It was you, buddy. Your imagination and your creativity amazed me some days. Like you got very creative at times.
That's the other part. It's very hard to, like 150 days. I stopped at 102 or 103, so I missed the last like 40 days, which sounds like a lot, but 100 days of that stuff is very hard to come up with creative ideas on a day-to-day basis.
I don't know how you did it.
I don't know.
It you know what? It constantly surprises me to see the creativity of people who do things, and I always kicking myself. Why didn't I think of that? Why didn't I think of that?
Earl's like a prime example.
Earl is epic.
The stuff he comes up with.
But some people are like that. They just have a natural sense of humor who can see through all kinds of whatever, and then just zone in on the right thing. But Earl's just one of those people. He's quick. He's quick-witted.
So funny. Yeah. Anyways, folks, thanks for tuning in. We will do this next week again. Next week's St. Patrick's Day, is it not?
I was going to get to my shamrock.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. Oh, Franklin, you're all ready for St. Patrick's Day with the
Look, he's got the green,
green
happening
screen.
already.
Yeah.
It's because my lighting was all messed up because I'm not
Just
feeling
wait.
great.
Okay, so next week, wear your same shirt, or actually use the same green screen, and then wear a green shirt, and then turn on the green screen.
This is what I
You have
have
a floating
today.
head.
Nice shirt.
Yeah.
Nice. Anyways, thanks for guys. I appreciate you guys helping me out tonight.
Hey, no problem.
Very informative and very entertaining. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Dax.
People listening at home, thanks very much. We'll catch you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.